One. All right, so here we go. All right, so here we have a basic chart, Tesla 2-day chart. I'm actually gonna drop that down to a 4 hour. I want to show you more candles. You have your you have your Keltner channels as well, upper, lower, and mid. I think it was a 4 hour that we used. Did we use a 4 hour? We used a 4 hour. You remember we used it? It was a daily, right? That was a daily one. It was a daily. Yeah, it was daily chart. Okay. I think, yeah, it should have been. Yeah, it was daily. 2 hour. Oh, it was a 2 hour. All right. So that's more. Perfect. Yes, it was a 2 hour. All right. So we're looking at a 2 hour chart. So basically, I'm going to use annotations to basically show you guys how it works trading with Keltners and adding support and resistance levels to guide you going forward. So we're going to start here with the 2 hour, 360 days. What I'm going to use are circles. Give me a second. Get that up for you, that drawing tool. All right, perfect. Okay, so this is one of the most simple trading technicals there are besides support and resistance. So every trading tool basically revolves around support and resistance, or average support for that time, average resistance price for that time. So Keltner's, the mid Kelt is a 20-day moving average. Upper and lower are also similar, but I'm not sure exactly how that's calculated, but that's not even important. So here with Tesla, I want to basically show you the simple buying and selling strategy when it comes to Tesla. Okay, so as you can see from here, I love to start from here because I want to give you guys an example. There's not much here to basically show you, but my whole thing is always buy lower Kelts. Your first target should always be middle Kelt. And if the middle Kelt holds, your next target is the upper Kelt. Anything outside the upper Kelt starts to become a potential short. And your target, anything way outside of the upper Kelt, your first target would be to short, would be the upper Kelt. Same thing goes when close is under the upper Kelt, it comes into the middle Kelt, the mid Kelt. So I'm going to show you that right here. So pay very close attention to this breakdown. I'm actually going to use this side instead. It was 2 hours. Yeah, it was 2 hours. All right, so here's perfect. All right, so we're going to start from here. Price basically extended outside. I'm actually using the wrong tool. Sorry. Let me just get rid of this one. There we go. Every point I'm drawing, I'm going to break it down as we go on. So this first point that I'm drawing is the price is already trending above the upper Kelt. So your supports are going to be your upper Kelt, your middle Kelt, and your lower Kelt. Those are going to be your support targets. So if you're trading outside of an upper Kelt or above it, you're going to short with the first target of the lower Kelt. So here it actually was in a channel. So it bounced off somewhere around the middle Kelt here. After it bounced off there, it broke outside of that and it continued to trend higher. So I want to basically break this down to you here. So in this sense of trading, you're going to add your resistance levels and support levels. So your first one's going to be here. Actually, I can't even use this. I can't use this part because when I broke it down to you, it was different. So I can't use this part. I got to get you guys inside. So we're going to do it that way better. So here we go. Let's clear this. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to start from here. Okay. So we're going to work with, let me get you a horizontal tool. Here we go. We're going to start from here. So this horizontal is where we're going to start from. Okay. So first and foremost, what you always have to do is draw supports and draw resistance levels. But when you're trading with a Kelt and you have enough candles on a chart, which is the lower the time frame, the more candles you get. So the more you can see where price is headed. And it makes it so simple when you're looking at your Keltner channels because prices bounce up and down between them as you go on. So for example, here, I'm going to start, like I said, I made a horizontal line to your left. So here it topped out. And then the first target, like I told you guys, would be your upper Kelt. So what happened here, it bounced off of that and it continued to channel sideways and it tested it again. So what happens here, the hammer. So you're going to buy short-term calls. Your target is going to be this previous target to your left, and that target is here. Okay, so that's going to be your first resistance level. So this is adding resistance to your upper Kelts, your lower Kelts, and your mid Kelts. So your first resistance is here. This was the first rejection that happened before it retested your upper Kelt. So here we're going to draw our first resistance. Now, after that happened, it bounced off the lower Kelt. I mean, the upper Kelt here, which it got close to it, but we still count that. So we're going to make a support level there. And that support level that's near the upper Kelt also lines up with this hammer here, the opening of this hammer on the side. So we're going to keep that in mind. So now we have a support and we have a resistance. The support is 1142 and your resistance is 1212. Now that price is trading inside of these two support and resistances, it's also supported by the upper Kelt. So here we see the upper Kelt, the price is riding it on the way up. So your first target from here is going to be to buy this strike with time. So due to these candles here, you're going to suffer from a lot of decay until price finishes off, which it did here. It came down, tested inside of the upper Kelt, but closed outside of it. And then what happened? The next day after that, the next move after that, it hit 12.06. So you can so depending on the day of the week, this is a 2-hour chart. So with a 2-hour chart, you're getting 4 candles for the day. So keep that in mind always. So this is a new day. So this is a channel day. And by the end of the day, price started to climb towards the end of the day and it tested that 12.12. So that's going to be the first strike that you're going to buy. Now price gets above that. And what happens here, it starts to top out again. Now you're looking at your new support, which is 12.06. The second time, the second 2-hour, it tops out again. So what happens here? Now 12.12 is not going to be your long side. It's going to be a short side. So you're going to do 2 things. You're going to look at your 12.12 to short. So that's going to be the strike you buy. And then the second put you would be buying would be your middle Kelt, which is here. Because this 12.12, that support is actually below the upper Kelt. So keep that in mind. That support is below the upper Kelt. So that's going to be your first target. So this was your first target to short. Your second target is you're going to hover basically anywhere around where your middle Kelt is. And that's going to be here. And that basically coincides somewhere around 1200. Anytime price closes below the middle Kelt, your target after that is going to be the lower Kelt until that lower Kelt breaks down. So here what happens, I'm going to break it down to you. And you can watch this video over and over. So here we topped. First we topped here. Then we retested with a double top here. But what happened, price gapped above. And now we found support here. This was a support area. At 12.06. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my profit because we already went long here off this bounce. We started selling 12.12 calls, basically taking profit at 12.12, and then we sold more when they went higher, but it kept rejecting below 12.50. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to look at 12.12 as puts. I'm going to look at my next target, which would be around under 12.12 would be around 11.90. And then around here would be around 11.62. These would be the puts I will consider buying. But I'm using my middle and lower Celts. But what happened here, we bounced, which this area that we bounced was a support area, 1142, which was where this hammer opened at right here, which it closed at, sorry, correction. As you can see. Now, what happens is this support, we pay attention to that support. I'm gonna hover over here. You have your resistance at 1206. So your lower Celt is now your new support, plus your 1142 is your support. So we drew that line. Now you have levels. Now, so far you have 2 levels. We're not counting the bottom level at the 909.56 right now. I just added that for before. I'll remove that. So here, this support held 1142. So my first target is going to be the middle Celt. This is a basic, simple strategy. You can do this with any ticker. We're using Tesla because you can get 10 to 20% out of these moves, believe it or not, playing with size at that. So here we get long. First target is the middle Celt. Second target is the not upper Celt. It's going to be a 1206 because that level is inside of the middle and the upper Celt. So if price gets above the 1206, your next level would be the upper Celt. And that's going to be here, which is another resistance. But price could not reach above your middle Celt, which is here. So what do? We start to short again. So our first target in shorting, the middle is going to be the lower Celt. The lower Celt is above your 1142 support. So that's going to be your first short target. You're going to buy puts there. You're going to buy 1140 puts as the next target. And you're going to trade them down to any past support. Let's say we'll move the chart over. You can draw support lines from over here. I always, and like I told my lady, it's always good to draw a resistance or a support line, a horizontal line at any gap. Always do that because this automatically here, you're going to reference it later. Price always comes down. Gaps always fill. It just takes more time than others. This one took a long time. This gap happened 1022. It did not fill until, what is this? 1217, so 2 months. You have gaps that fill within a week or 2 weeks. So we reference this is a gap, your gap area below. So let's clear this. Now we're gonna go back. So this was your resistance here. First one, second one, and then we have a lower high. Price rejected. So next thing you know, price came all the way down. So when price is below the lower Celt, it can continue to keep going down and continue to ride it. It can just keep riding. So here, Tesla did a big move, came all the way down here. So what do we do when price bounces like this? We make a support level. So let's get a horizontal line going. Oops, here we go. Duplicate. Let's move this up. We're going to use this hammer right here where it bounced off of. And if you go back over here, you can see exactly what candles line up with that as well. So you have this one, nice bounce here, and you have here as well. This was also a breakout area too, that turned into a support, and it continues to be a support. So from this level, what I would do is I would start to go long to play the bounce. Your first target, as always, as I tell you, is going to be a lower Celt. So in the event of that, what happens here is price still kept coming down. It kept playing around the support area. So you don't actually have to take any position here. You can actually start building a position here at this level, period. And then what happens? Price continues to bounce off this level, closes above it, and your first target would be the lower Celt. But this candle that you see here, rejected, and now price keeps coming down and following, coming down, and it tests this support. So I'm going to break that down to you. So again, every time you hit a resistance, that's a snag. What do? You make a horizontal line at that level, and that usually lines up with previous levels or previous candles. Again, an example. So this level here lines up with over here, another breakout area, which also lines up with where the price was basically testing the upper Kelt. So I'm going to clear that up. Go back to it. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, I can't see that, but that's good. So here we go. So you have your rejection here, rejection here, rejection here. You'll start seeing a pattern every time I highlight it. Rejection here. This became a support that failed and broke through. Support, support, and support. So you have 1, 2, 3 supports here. You have one, and this failed, came down to here. So let's do this. This was basically a head and shoulders, and it had a lower high. That was automatically a short. 1142 was the breakdown. So any technical player would be like, oh, this is a head and shoulders play. So I would short it, and the neckline would be 1142. It breaks, which was here, the lower Kelt. And it has a nice downside move here. So this was the first support. It couldn't hold that one. So the next support after that comes here. And then as you can see what happened with price there. It bounced. But then again, 1104 was one of your levels too, which was here. We drew that level. And if you go across the board, look what happens with that level. I'm doing these arrows because I want you guys to pay attention. This level is very important for future purposes. So you reference that. Now, these levels came about, and look how they work with your Keltner channels. They pretty much line up. So let me bring this over for you guys. We're going to go across it now. We're moving over. If you go across and you start to look, every price is lining up. This is basically how I trade, but I don't actually have to draw the lines. I just use my Keltner channels because I'm better with visual. I can trade with visual without actually having to draw the levels. And this is an easy way to go about it. So here became a support. What I do, I buy the next resistance. The next resistance is the upper Kelt, which would be this level here. Above that would be 1104, which is here. Price, channels, and it rides here. Your next target would be here. Now we're above the upper Kelt. So when you're above the upper Kelt, you should already have runners. And when you have these runners, you should be at least 90%, not even 9, you should be 10% left of your runners. You should already sold 90% of your position, because up here it starts to get toppy. So what happens? We couldn't even get to 1212. We get here and price fails and it breaks down again. So when price rejects here, your first target is your upper Kelt, followed by your new drawn support, which is before the middle Kelt, which is 1142. Under that 1142 is the middle Kelt. That's going to be your next strike you buy. Under that, you have 1104, which is a level you have drawn because that was a support level, also was a resistance level prior as well. And then your next target is going to be the lower Kelt. Below that is 1031. But if your lower Kelt holds, because these are the prices that these are the levels you don't draw, and the Keltners show all of that. Okay, so if you didn't have your Keltner channels on here right now, if I remove them, this would be a big gap. So immediately everybody's going to hold their position until 1031. And what happens? What happened here, as you can see, what did price do? It did not bounce to 1031. It bounced right here. It kept staying here, and then it went right back above 1104. So this is why Keltner channels play a big role, because you get to see exactly why the price bounced there without even having a level there. So you know you already drew your levels, your support and resistances, and you're like, okay, this bounced here, but why is it a significant area? It's a lower Kelt. So what I do in this place, I'm going to draw a horizontal line here because somewhat of a double bottom. I'll bring it across the board, and now that becomes a new level that I have drawn out. Now let me clear this up. Now, if you look at price, lower Kelt is a buy. This is basically one of my favorite boxes. You have a engulfing candle with a spinning top in the middle. It could be a hammer with a small range, and then an engulfing candle to open or close at the bottom of a channel or bottom of your Kelts. That's a reversal. Here you get the same exact thing at the top of the channel. So when you see these patterns, these two specifically, this one, this is a box. This one, they look the exact same, but just in reverse. This is happening at the lower Kelt. That's a buy for me, hands down. This at the top is a sell, hands down. Like I told you, your first targets always buy level by level and Kelt by Kelt. Now, what I mean by level and Kelt by Kelt, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean, because this is going to help you take your 10, 20, 30% you get and lock in that profit and not even be upset because you already know where price is headed and you know it has more room. So there's nothing to rush. This is another reason why I tell you guys, take profit, wait for the next move. There's always going to be opportunity both ways. Sometimes there's days that I just don't want to short, and there's days that I just want to be long. So I'd rather scalp the long side because my levels are set up for the long side as opposed to going short. But if you're doing it and viewing the market this way, you can trade both sides without hesitation. You don't even have to invert your chart. Inverting the chart helps people that are scared to go long to go short, and vice versa, that are scared to go short to go long. Okay. So again, we're going to do that. It's the bottom of the channel. This is the top of the channel. Now, get my arrows going. So I'm going to go long here, right? My first target is going to be 1039. Why 1031? Why 1031? Because that price is right before the middle Kelt. If this price was above the middle Kelt would be my first target. But my price is my first target is going to be that 1031 because that's my level, and that level hits before the middle Kelt. Now, my next target is going to be the middle Kelt, and that's right here. Now, if price starts to act as a support at that level, I start to get long again, and I stay in the position, or I'll roll the position. Rolling the position allows you to buy even more time or move up a strike, depending on how you go about it. So here it's holding my 1031, and the middle Kelt is acting as a support. So my next target is going to be 1062, because 1062 is my level, which is a resistance, but that level is before your upper Kelt. Oops, let's clear that. Let's undo that. Your upper Kelt would be here. So you have your middle Kelt, your green line, and then you have your resistance level, which is before the upper Kelt. These are going to be your spots where you take profit. So here, your upper Kelt and your resistance at 1104, they go hand in hand. So right here is another profit taking place. And as the price channels, I would fully take a lot more profit here. Then I will change, and I'm seeing that this upper Kelt is holding. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to close my position as a full, or I'm going to roll it out so I don't have to worry about starting a new position. Just roll this position that's in profit out. And my first target is going to be, since this 1104 has been knocking, but the price is staying in between my 1104 and my upper Kelt. So we have a little channel happening in there. If price broke below my upper Kelt, then we're going back to the short. Now we're looking forward to break above 1104. And what happens? It does that here. Now your next target is going to be your resistance levels above, because the upper Kelt is the highest point of all Kelts. So there's no higher level than that, but your levels that you already drew from previous ones. So 1142 is going to be your target. And then what happened? Price gaps up. Now here, we're way above the upper Kelt, but we're also at a level that couldn't even hold. If you look over here, all this congestion, it was just nothing but sells going on, had a double top. Now, my first instance is, you know what? I'm shorting. I'm going to start shorting. I'm going to start buying 1142 puts, but not only 1142 puts, I'm going to buy 1162 puts. Why? Because 1162 is going to be the upper Kelt, because your first target is always the upper Kelt. And what happened if you shorted from this point here, it will test the upper Kelt, but then it bounced off of that. So every time price comes above here and it can't break, I'm going to keep shorting. And see, they did a nice hammer here, nice dragonfly doji actually. And then what happened? A red candle to follow. Now this is considered a box. And remember, I showed you guys a box at the bottom of a trend and a box at the top of a trend. At the bottom of a trend, you go long. I can show you some of your boxes. This is another box right here too. At the bottom of a trend. This is another box too at the bottom of a trend. This is another box too at the bottom of a trend. I can show you so many of them. They are everywhere. Okay. So, and what happens? We got at the top of a trend, we have a box. That's a short. So now I'm going to target the upper Kelt here, and then 1142, then the middle Kelt, and then 1104, and then the lower Kelt, 1062. Now what happens there? We have support there. If you go all the way back, there's more support over there. We have a support here. This is going to act as a strong support. So I'm going to definitely get long here. My first target is going to be that 1104. So you're looking for a 40-point move from here, or a 42-point move. For us, if depending on the day of the week, a Monday to a Wednesday, a 40-point move on Tesla, same day is about 20 to 30%. Maybe on a Monday, depending if it gaps up. But on a Friday, a 40-point move is about 200% to 300%, depending if it's early in the morning or it's towards the end of the day. A 40% move end of the day is about 1,000 to 3,000%, depending on if it's like 3 o'clock and it's the end of the day and you get a spike. So what I do, these are my short targets. 1142. Inside of that, there's a middle Kelt. So this is going to be my next target, middle Kelt, then 1104, target after that, lower Kelt, next target, 1062. 1062 is a support area. So we're going to buy there. And that's where we switch and roll into a long. So we came from basically going long here, buying calls to start buying. So we rolled our calls into puts. And then we rolled our puts into calls here. So I'm going to make it even more clear for you guys. I'm going to highlight it again. We bought calls here. So for those that buy time, Tesla does 20 to 40 points daily. So you can use two resistances. So me, I would use 1062 and I would use 1104 or 1062 and the upper Kelt. So first target here, I'll start taking profit. Second target, I'll start taking profit, which I maximize. I would take the most profit here. Why? Because we're already outside of the upper Kelt and we're just riding that now. Now, if we can confirm a close above 1104 here, my next target is 1142. And above that, which would be here, which was that resistance that we have drawn already. What you can consider is like a triple top, just with lower highs. And when a triple top like this happens, next thing you know, we start to break down. We get false bounces, come back up here, just above, couldn't hold. And then what happened? You start shorting again. Each level, see how your lower Kelt lines up with your support? It breaks down outside of that. This looks like it was a box, but this is a false box. And it keeps breaking down, and then it comes back and creates a new support down here, which this is within the gap. This is the first gap. And then what happened? You go long here. First, you take your first profit. And what happens here? This is your last long here. You take that, maximize that last profit from there, from what is that, 950 to 1062. And then you continue to short from there as you keep going. So I wanted to make this video for that because I just wanted to break it down for you for this week. We're going to be focusing on Tesla, SPY, ES, but that I definitely wanted to do.